Okay, now we're going to try adding an additional method to our circle class. So if we look at the contents of circle4.py, we're going to focus on these additional getRadius and getDiameter methods. So the getRadius method, of course, just returns the radius of the circle, and the radius is what we're storing internally to parameterize the circle anyway. But in some cases, it may be easier for you to also be able to get the diameter directly without having to convert radius to diameter. So you see here that in the getDiameter method, there's also the option to get the diameter, and this is sometimes convenient when you have a method and you want to have a particular internal implementation of how you parameterize data, but also give the outside user flexibility about how they interact with and get information about the data stored within the class. So now if I go ahead and start the Python interpreter and use this particular file, I can create my circle, and then I can either call getRadius and get back the 2.2, or depending on whether it might be more convenient to get the diameter, I can also get that as well. Now if we look at an additional further implementation in circle5.py, we also have the ability to both set the radius or set the diameter. Set the radius is very straightforward. I just take the radius and store that internally as the R attribute. If I set the diameter, I still go ahead and use internally my radius representation. I just need to remember that I need to divide the radius by 2, and then I still have my corresponding getRadius and getDiameter. So if I now start Python and use this file to define my circle class, I create an instance of that class, and now I can get the radius. I can also set the radius. If I go back and get the radius, of course that is correct. I can also get the corresponding diameter. And of course I've made the proper conversions with these various methods to either store internally the radius regardless of whether I receive the radius or diameter, and then I always do the proper conversion when the radius or diameter is corrected to get the proper values back out. So again, this is an example of encapsulation where you have an internal representation of your data, but you also provide the additional methods to provide more flexibility if the outside user wants to do a slightly different representation